Most people in tequila chase validation. They attach themselves to the right distillery, the right name, the right perception, and they stay there, safe, protected, untouchable. But Pedro Camarena did the opposite. He walked away from NOM 1579, a place most brands would kill to stay in, and stepped into something far more dangerous. Full control in NOM 1639. No safety net, no shared credit, no one else to point to when things go wrong. So now the question isn't just what's changed in the glass, it's whether the man behind it was ready to carry all of it. On this episode of Tactical Tequila Podcast with your host, Matt Wilson. If you enjoy the show, hit the like button, subscribe, and share it to your social media platforms. Thanks for tuning in and enjoy the show. Welcome back, everyone. Matt with Tactical Tequila Podcast here. Tonight's show, we have a great show planned for you. We have Pedro Camarena on the show. He is the founder of Primo Tequila, and you don't just walk away from NOM 1579 unless something in you says staying isn't enough. Pedro Camarena made that call and put Primo on the line at NOM 1639. No shared credit, no fallback, just his name on every bottle and full ownership on the outcomes. Pedro, welcome to the show. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you for receiving me, Matt. I'm glad to be here.
So just as we dive into things here, before Primo, before distilleries, what did a normal day look like growing up for Pedro Camarena?
A lot of skateboarding, a lot of mountain biking. I used to go a lot camping with my friends, so I always love outdoors, connection with nature. Uh, in my house, I remember a lot always helping my mother while cooking. So she's a really good. I mean, she didn't study to be a chef, but she's a really good cook, and she always put us in the house to help her cook. And then also, my father was a really hands-on person in the house. He always liked to fix stuff. So I also always remember, and actually, I'm really thankful that I was with him while he was fixing stuff, because now I don't call anyone when I need to fix something in my house. But yeah, it's I was always busy. I was always in the street with my friends and doing stuff. But yeah, I had a really good childhood.
So now, as you talk about being with your dad and fixing things, is there a moment from your childhood that quietly shapes how you make decisions today?
I think one of the main things that I kind of probably take about that is I'm a really hands-on person, so I learned through my hands and doing stuff. So essentially, when someone tells me something, I have to kind of do it by myself, or do it and experiment, fail, and kind of be resilient about it. Uh, Not only with my father, but also like when I was doing like skateboarding, mountain biking, like every single fall was an opportunity to get back on your feet and continue like learning and getting better, So I think resilience and being hands-on will be like one of the key things.
So, growing up around the culture and the industry, would you say that it was your calling or destiny to start your own brand? Or do you feel like that's something that you had to earn your place in?
Um, so I wasn't really born into the tequila industry. One of the things with my family was that we kind of lost our line from the distillery that it was supposed to be for us. So as many people know, there were like these three brothers. It was Felipe, Agustin, my great grandfather Pedro Camarena. Felipe founded La Alteña Distillery. Then Agustin founded La Arandina Distillery. And my great grandfather, which is like the third generation Pedro Camarena, he founded El Gallito Distillery. El Gallito Distillery was the original distillery of Cazadores. And even though we weren't the owners of the brand Cazadores, we were the owners of the distillery. But so my grandfather passed sadly when my father was really young. And when my great grandfather passed, he left the stock of the distillery to my grandmother. My grandmother was like a recent widow. My father was young. So essentially, she they came to her and asked if she will sell the stock of the distillery. She did. She wasn't really a businesswoman, and she didn't knew what was happening there. So we the line kind of got cut off, and I remember a lot of going with my family to Arandas, seeing the agaves, always learning about or knowing that part of the family that produced tequila, but my part of the family kind of got lost in that part. And when I realized it was kind of my destiny, because I always carried the name, and we had carried the name for more than 200 years, the Pedro Camarena name. And with that, also like the family ring. And it kind of, I felt like there was always something missing in that legacy, in that kind of heritage that I received. And i- as soon as Felipe and my father invited me to like, hey, you have the opportunity to make your own brand, to reconnect that part of the legacy and rebuild everything from zero. I was kind of, I knew right like then that that was my destiny, and I actually went all in into learning the craft of producing tequila, and I fell completely in love with it. So I think it was more earned than kind of growing up with that. Yeah, it's been like a really hard work, but yeah, I have enjoyed every single step of that.
Now, and not necessarily growing up in it, what exactly has your family taught you about pride, legacy, and the responsibility? And how much of that actually shows up in Primo today?
Well, I feel like when you put your name into something, not yours just your last name, but also your name, you have to really honor it. And one of the things here is that I'm not just putting my own name, I'm putting six generations behind me also. So I think the only way to honor that is by doing something worth it, something with pride, always respecting the family, the legacy, but also kind of mixing it up and doing it for me, not just for me and probably for the future generations if they come. So you have to be really careful on always putting up like the name, the to honor that and kind of be respectful about it. So yeah, it's not just a brand out there. It's kind of really, really personal, and there's too much history behind it. So it kind of puts a little bit more pressure into it.
Going back to the younger version of you, if the younger version of you tasted Primo today, what do you think he'd say about the man that you've become?
I think he will be really proud. Um, it was never something that I saw myself doing when I was a kid, so, or a young version of me. So I will be really proud to see that we were able to do such a beautiful brand with so much meaning behind it, with a really good level of quality that we're looking and working really hard towards it. So I feel like, yeah, I definitely really proud, and probably asking me where he can get a little bit more of that tequila.
It is very good tequila, by the way.
Thanks.
And unfortunately, as you and I talked about before the show, I unfortunately don't have any from 1639 distillery, but I do have two bottles here from 1579. It is the J. Bear French and American Oak single
Yeah.
barrel, and then the other one is actually a bottle signed by you.
Yep.
And I'll tell you, like, it's hands down one of my top 10 favorite tequilas. You've done an amazing job. And switching from distilleries, what was the exact moment that you knew that you had to leave Nam 1579?
I mean, it's kind of a hard subject. I honestly am extremely grateful with Felipe. He opened the doors at El Pandillo. I always saw myself being kind of a little bit more time at there. The vision was always for me to have my own place, my own distillery. I at the end, Felipe has El Pandillo and he has G4. But I feel like the decision came when we were looking to release and expand the lineup of Primo, and it was becoming a little bit more hard. Felipe's focus was more towards growing G4, and I completely respect that. You know, at the end, is the house brand, is the is his distillery, is his brand. That's where the focus from him has to be. You know, but in the same perspective, Primo has to have my 100% of my focus towards growing the lineup, towards working, towards the profile, and kind of making little steps to the end goal that is to have my own distillery. But yeah, I feel like it was when G4 was growing a lot, so kind of the ceiling started getting a little bit lower with each uh, time that passed by. So there was, I think it was December 2023 when I talked to Felipe. We gave each other a hug, and I tell him, like, you know what? I appreciate everything you did for me, but everything is kind of in a hard situation right now. We have to continue growing Primo. You have to continue growing G4. So I kind of make the hard decision there.
Now, once you leave 1579 El Pandillo, um, how long before you get started in 1639?
So it took us a few months because, one, for the people that don't know, the decision of why I went to a nom that essentially nobody knew about. Um, a lot of people kind of were worried about, like, you were in one of the best distilleries, if not the best distillery that there was at the time. Who in their right mind will decide to go to another distillery that nobody knows? You know, they didn't have any other brands like worth mentioning, I guess. So the decision was that the NOM 1639, it was the only NOM that let me bring my own equipment, kind of control 100% of the process. And it took me a while to actually be able to install the equipment because we own the fermentation vats, we own the copper stills, the barrels, the bottling line. Like essentially, I already have like half a distillery in that distillery, just from the equipment that we own. That was a really big investment, but yeah, it took us probably like, I guess, 4 months to set it up, around that time.
Do you feel that Primo is fully yours and you're, at the helm and fully in control?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I always saw Primo as fully mine. Uh, well, when I was at El Pandillo, I always saw it like my own project. Uh, Obviously with the help of Felipe, but yeah, I always saw that it was 100% my responsibility. Everything that happened with Primo and everything that is now. Uh, so moving to the new norm, where I have complete control of the production, is just more pressure and more responsibility also. And at the same time, it becomes more rewarding. So it's you have to be extremely passionate to kind of take this route that I took, because if not, it will be insane for, I think, for other brands to do what I did. But it since my true passion comes from making the tequila, being hands-on, going to the agaves, choosing with which agaves I want to work with, and we take them to the distillery, and that you have way more control. But with control comes more responsibility, it comes more pressure, and you're going to be judged a little bit harder. So yeah, it's definitely not for people that probably want something quick. Uh, it's probably, but I feel like it was the correct choice, and yeah, it's been super hard but super rewarding.
During this entire switchover, was there anyone that ever tried to stop you from leaving? And if so, did it make you hesitate?
I think at the beginning, for example, Felipe was, when I told him like that I was leaving, he was like, "Stay, we can like work something out." But I felt like I had made my choice in that regard, and that it was there were a lot of people that were questioning the ability of me of bringing something of quality. And one of the more challenging stuff is that it took us such a long amount to bring the product back, that a lot of people thought that Primo was dead. It was stopped for 2 years, but I never stopped working towards it. There were people that were more questioning, not that or yes, why I left, but also like there were questioning like how is the profile going to come out. So I'm happy that now that it came out, to have such a positive feedback about the new profile.
Now, we've talked about the old profile, the new profile. If someone were to blind taste 1579 to 1639, what's the first difference that they would notice?
Um, I feel like the 1579, it has a little bit of more herbal notes. Uh, it's a little bit with more anise. The new profile, I mean, and 1579 was an amazing tequila. Honestly, I still have a few bottles reserved for the future, but I feel like the new one, I like it more. I find it a little bit more refined. There were some process that we changed into working towards a better profile, better in the sense of, for myself, something that I like to drink essentially like every weekend. But it was also like kind of finding my own signature. The move out was never to replicate what we were doing at the old distillery. I will be surprised if it was probably closer to the profile at 1579. Why? Because there were many changes. For example, the water source was different. The water source at 1579 was spring water. Now we're working with deep well water. Fermentation, before it was 20% in pine wood and the 80% was stainless steel. Now we ferment everything with oak. The yeast is wild. So previously it was proprietary yeast of Felipe that he reproduces and inoculates into the mosto. So yeah, there were essentially, well, it was never meant to be similar or to actually keep the last or the previous profile. It was kind of develop something new, develop my own taste, my own profile, and kind of find what I like, what I don't like, and kind of keep experimenting, you know?
So would you say that the profile is subtle or more undeniable?
The change in
Yeah.
the taste, yeah, undeniable. Like it feels like it's completely different. I mean, you can taste that it's from the region of the Highlands, but I feel like we did enough changes for it to be completely different.
Um, I'm going to say that these are both loaded questions. It's a two-parter question. What do you feel 1579 did better than 1639 does? And what do you feel 1639 does better than 1579?
Okay, so 1579, I really like the Tajona, the Felipe Stein. Uh, it's beautiful to watch it work and just slowly crush the agaves. That's something that I really, really like. Um, 1579, it's more organized in the sense of it's more of a proper distillery. Uh, so that helps a lot when you're working. And something that I really miss about 1579, it was its people. The people that I used to work with at El Pandillo, like they were all amazing, like that's something that I kind of miss on the production part of things. On 1639, I feel like the fermentation, I like it more. The distillation, I enjoy it way more because I do it. Every single drop of Primo is distilled by me, and I just go there, stay for 18 hours straight distilling, then sleep for 4 hours, then repeat and repeat that for 4 or 5 days. And I just do it by myself alone with the help of Alexis, who takes care of the boiler. But yeah, essentially, I kind of, it's more personal, and I like that because I don't have the pressure of any other brands trying to push production, or you have to kind of hurry up everything to kind of bottle it. Here with 1639, it's less organized, but I have way more time just to enjoy and do it by myself. There's no rush. When I start doing Primo, I can just stay there for 2 months until I'm done. But I, I have never felt the pressure like, oh, you have to finish up the ceiling because there are more brands that need to be produced. So I kind of enjoy the patience that comes with the production. So yeah,
Well, and I think as you grow more and more, I think that organization will more or less fall into place.
yeah. And I mean, even right now, like at 1639, I don't see myself on the long run there because the whole idea is for me to start building, like, I will say, like a micro distillery, like, or a small tavern essentially. and just move the equipment that I already own into the new one. And there I can kind of tweak what I have previously learned from 1579 and 1639 until my own place, and kind of have my own organization and my own kind of pace into production. So I like that.
Now, when it comes to the consumers, do you feel like they're tasting the difference, or do you think that they might be projecting expectations of what Primo was?
I mean, there's both. There's people that kind of give it a try and they taste it and they actually are surprised with the quality that we have produced. Now that they can taste like the new Blanco, the new Reposado, the new High Proof, they are like probably 99% of the feedback is positive, and they are like with the High Proof, they go insane, like how is so easy to drink, you know? There are a few that I feel are still like, without even tasting it, they are kind of shutting the door about trying it. But I will probably say to them, like, give it an opportunity. Like, don't close the door. I mean, if you try it and you don't like it, it's fine. I understand. Probably it's not for everyone, but I feel like you will be surprised with the profile, with the taste, how easy it is to drink, and I mean, yeah, it's kind of one thing that I like to say is just because I left such a great distillery, it doesn't mean it's going to be bad. You know, as long as one of the benefits I think and that I feel really lucky is that it's not just a brand that move out and is sending purchase orders to a new distillery and they are just sending products uh like here you go and that's it. It's actually me who is involved with the process. It's me distilling the product, checking its fermentation, filling up the barrels. Every single cap and every bottle is bottled by me and my wife and my nephew. So it's kind of it's different than other brands. And Felipe, there was a moment where he left also his previous distillery, which was La Alteña. Carlos also left at one moment La Alteña. So sometimes people moving out of their previous distilleries bring something good, you know? If Felipe had never left La Alteña, El Pandillo wouldn't exist. The same with Carlos and Los Alambiques. So I feel like people sometimes have to be a little bit more open-minded and see like, okay, let's see where things go. Let's give it a opportunity. At the end, I know that I will probably make mistakes and not everything is going to work out the first time I try it, but that's essentially what I'm excited for, the opportunity kind of to develop my own profile, my own taste, my own signature, keep learning. And hopefully, when I'm the age of Felipe, people will be like, okay, I'm super happy that Pedro at his age, he moved out and he went and do his own stuff, you know?
So, just a little bit ago, you mentioned the different water sources. It was spring water at El Pandillo, and now at 1639, it's deep well. What
Yeah.
what role does your water source play in the making of tequila?
So I feel like the when it's deep well water, the profile comes out a little bit more bold or with more body in kind of a sense. With the spring water, it felt a little bit more bright in the palate. So probably people, if they want to try it out at Del Pandillo, they can try G4 and they can try Terralta. Terralta feels a little bit more heavy, more bold, a little bit more, um, in a sense, if I could describe it, like a little bit more weight in the character and not as bright as G4. So I feel like it plays definitely a role. I really, really like deep well water. Uh, I mean, I also like the spring uh, water, but I feel like, yeah, I wouldn't say no to as long as it's like quality water, it's it's good enough to kind of play around and define like your profile.
When you switch distilleries, what would you say the hardest variable to control is?
Right now, probably for me was the fermentation because we're using wild yeast. So when you do that, you have to really take care of the whole fermentation process. Essentially, in the first hours that you want the yeast to propagate and kind of take over of the mosto. Um, if you don't if you don't do that, kind of there's a risk for bacteria to kind of take over before the yeast and kind of ruin the mosto. So I think fermentation is one of the parts that I'm still learning. That I still have long ways to go, and but I is one of the parts that excited me the most. Distillation, I every time that I'm distilling, I kind of tweak a little bit because I distill different batches and kind of taste them and see like what it changed. But I feel like fermentation is the one that is most important to control and also to take care of because it has the most amount of impact. And if you don't take care of it, it will ruin completely your profile.
What would you say the first thing that you changed once you switched to the new distillery? What was the first thing that you changed in order to gain full control of the process?
So the first, I mean, essentially when we arrive at the distillery, the whole dynamic was like, I'm I'm coming to this distillery if I can completely control the process and make the calls and be involved in it. They were like, let's do it. I tasted what they were doing already. It wasn't up to the quality that I was looking for. So I told them like, hey, you know what? Like I have different line uh in terms of the profile. Is there are we able to bring our own equipment for production, install it at the distillery? They were like, yeah, it's fine. So that's when I knew that I will have control in everything because at the end I was bringing my own equipment. I was bringing the stills, the bats, everything. So I was always there making the calls. And when we brought agave for production of Primo, I essentially go and leave to Jesus Maria until we're done with production. And I always come back to check the storage tanks, the profile. I keep uh take like taking care of Primo, you know. So yeah, I have never felt that I have lost control in that sense of production.
Having full control, do you feel like you have more freedom or would you say there's more pressure to having full control?
Both. I think with when I mean we have a different like a difficult market, you know. Our market is really knowledgeable, or they know a lot about tequila. They have tasted hundreds of different profiles, different distilleries. So we have to kind of, there's more pressure in the terms of the quality that we have to bring. It has to be good enough for us, but also looking to kind of surprise the market with what we're bringing. I feel like the freedom brings a different type of pressure. Um, at the previous distillery, there was more pressure because we weren't bringing out more products in the lineup. It was like kind of a not so nice feeling of pressure. I 100% prefer having pressure because of the freedom and the liberty of just doing whatever I want to do for Primo and kind of take responsibility, but also know that I'm getting judged for what I'm doing. And but yeah, it's kind of a different type of pressure. It's not as bad as is the word make it sound, but yeah, it's that there's definitely pressure.
Would you say that's made you more confident or more critical of yourself?
I think I'm confident enough to keep doing what I'm doing, and kind of I have never stopped believing in myself and knowing that I will one day will have my own place, and I'm confident enough for me to have that. And but I'm critical in the sense that when I'm producing, I kind of trying my best looking for perfection, even though you can never get it, but you're trying to kind of push yourself and kind of look for the best product that you can produce with the equipment and the tools that you have surrounding you. So yeah, I definitely judge a lot the Primo when I'm distilling it, when I'm tasting it. But as soon as I tried it, I kind of I get a really big smile in my face, and it gives me confidence. Like, and when people try it also and see their faces, that just kind of tell me like, okay, you're not doing that bad. Just keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. You know?
And I can only imagine from your standpoint, going to all these tastings and tequila, events and having people try it for the first time. And, the ones that get the smile on their face, like I can only imagine just how much that would lift your spirits, but, just make you feel like, I am doing the right thing.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I feel like it it makes it all worth it and all the hard work because believe me, there's been blood, sweat, and tears with Primo, and it's not been a easy journey. And so seeing the faces of people when they try it for the first time and they're like, "Oh wow, like this is your first batch," and I'm extremely happy because of that. Like that's kind of the mm, best feelings that you can get when you get someone that actually enjoys your tequila and they make the decision to go and buy it from the shelves or put it on their bar in the restaurant, or like that makes you appreciate like kind of all the work that you have done. And with a market so fast moving and that everyone is bringing special releases and there's new brands coming, eh, like every single day there's something new, in this market. For me it's kind of on the opposite side. Like I learned to kind of slow down, enjoy the moment, enjoy the craft. And kind of when people ask me like, when are you coming back, or when are you bringing the extrañejo or the añejo, I'm just like, when it's ready. Like I mean, I'm working towards that, but I'm like, you already, I feel like there has you already had patience for 7 years for the agave to grow, then for 2 3 months for the blancos to produce it, then for the añejo. Like now, I don't know, I kind of take it a little bit more calm, and I enjoy it a little bit more. I don't feel the pressure that I was having uh, at before. Like I have to release the reposado, I have to release the high proof, I have to release everything, the whole lineup because people is asking for it. Now I'm like, okay, people waited already 2 years for Primo to be back. They can keep waiting a little bit longer for the extrañejo, and the añejo is coming. But yeah, I'm just like, I'm just going to enjoy the journey.
And as we kind of move into legacy and legacy of the Camarena name, do you feel like you have to prove yourself more now than ever?
I think that not really. Um, I feel like now the profile is out there, so and the reviews has been positive. I definitely know that I still have a long journey and that I need to keep learning because I wouldn't call myself still like maestro tequilero. Like I feel more of like a student that I'm learning the craft and I keep exploring and experimenting. But I feel like I already proved myself with the product, my first product that I did kind of with full control and by myself. And well, not by myself because there's another three people at the distillery that helped me produce Primo. But but yeah, it's I feel like okay when people compare Primo to the previous um, profile and they say like you know what like it's actually on the same level of quality or it's actually some people say it's actually better, some people say like I like the previous one but it's actually is this one is also really good. I'm fine with that. It's like El Pandillo put such a high level or such a high bar for quality that I kind of the only way for me to come back was to bring in something on that same level or higher.
Well, yeah, and I mean, you kind of just have to now set your own bar um, for that. It's unfortunate in a way that I mean, yes, it was an amazing tequila at 1579, but as you grow as the student, as a distiller, as a tequilero, um, and as you grow as a brand, like you kind of just have to set your own bar at that point and say,
Yeah,
"Hey, we're going to crush it to this point and then set a new bar." And then, continue to, I guess, impress or um, give validation to those agave nerds, the aficionados and the connoisseurs.
yeah.
But I think the direction that you're heading. I think that you're doing great things.
Thanks. Yeah, it's I think that now for me the next step is actually to start with the project of my own distillery and kind of focus on that. That's going to be like the next bar for me. And then people probably will say like and I kind of going to say it ahead of time. The profile that we already have right now at 1639 is going to change again at some point, you know, and it's but I kind of like that because you can see with the changes, kind of the evolution of Primo. Like Primo is not a brand that sits still and it doesn't move. It has to evolve because Primo is kind of the a person I really and this is where I kind of stand apart from other brands. I feel like Primo is way more personal. There's so much meaning to it, so much heritage. It's my way to honor more than 200 years of family legacy, and I kind of and it's also my personal journey into becoming a master distiller, a maestro tequilero. So it's going to be an evolution in time. There will be a probably a time where it will kind of uh I will find the profile that I want for the blanco, the reposado, the high proof, or for the regular lineup, and then I will start playing more with some special releases, with some tweaks, or probably develop some other brand with some other process. I don't know, like, but the whole idea for Primo is to evolve and change, and that change is sometimes brings something good, and that's what I really really enjoy. Like you can see the evolution of the brand, and also me as a person.
As we've, kind of covered a lot of stuff, across the move, has there been a moment that has been very humbling during that process?
Oh, yeah, many moments. I think it's. I mean, just to put it on perspective, Primo stopped getting cash flow for 2 years. So it was extremely hard. I kind of almost got broke. We have to move out because I couldn't pay rent. There was more than once that I was like, okay, fuck, like it's probably I'm near drowning and probably I won't make it. But that's when I have to give thanks, for example, to my wife, to my father, my sister, my brother-in-law, like everyone who supported me on this process and kind of pushed me and told me like, hey, you're doing a great job. Just be patient and you're going to be able to bring it, because there were so many changes that we didn't expect when we move out of the previous distillery from 1579, that kind of uh, shakes your ground, and it kind of tests your resilience. Um, Imagine yourself being 2 years without income, without any uh, because I live 100% of Primo and what I do. I don't have any other jobs or anything. So yeah, that was probably one of the most humbling experiences, in the terms of I was kind of at the top when I was at the previous distillery, and we were doing so great. And next day, you don't know, and you can be uh, almost flat out dead, and then you have to learn to get back on your feet and keep pushing and keep being resilient, and good things are going to come out of that.
So now, I'm going to flip it a little bit here and ask you, what was the most validating moment?
The most validating moment was probably the first time I went back to the US, and we brought it back to the market. I was in where it was LA, and we did a show at Vintage Wine and Spirits. I was nervous because it was the first time that actually people were going to try the new Primo. If people haven't forgotten about Primo, essentially, kind of we just appeared back at the event. They put us next to Fortaleza and next to other really good brands, and I was like, oh shit, like everyone is going to kind of be on the other areas and nobody's going to come here. And slowly you saw the light kind of shift, and people were trying the Prima and saying like, oh, it's it's really good, and I cannot believe it that you make it yourself, and like a family business. And like, I don't know, it was a really validating moment when, like, we saw people actually enjoying it and buying it right at the event. And we were next after Fortaleza, we were the brand that sold the most at that event. So I was like, okay, now I can kind of relax a little bit more. Like we have crossed the line, and we're back in the US, and we're back to market, and people is happy with what they have received and what they have taste. So that was extremely rewarding, and really kind of validated that her journey and made it worth it.
No, I feel like you maybe touched on this a little bit, but not specifically. Was there a part of the brand that had to die in order for it to grow where it's at now?
I think that yes, and it was at the right moment, because I feel like at the end, like everything happens for a reason, and sometimes you feel that everything is going against you in some way, but there's a moment when you realize like this is how it was supposed to happen. And I feel like if kind of i- like to put it or to change it on perspective, I think that, for example, with 1579 we could only release like a blanco and like the single barrel reposados. It's easier for me to make the change, or it was easier, or actually better for me to make the change then, because the market was only going to compare the blanco and the blanco. There's not a whole lineup to compare and to judge, or to be like kind of on the edge there with the how the people was going to perceive it, because at the beginning people didn't like that I move out of El Pandillo, and I understand it. But yeah, I feel like it was at the right moment. The opportunity came, and I took the decision to do it. um I wouldn't change anything from the last 2 years, I guess. Um, for more difficult that it has been, I think that kind of that has shaped me really well into the person I am, and where I'm going. And I feel like it's not going to get easier. It's going to still be a challenge, and I cannot even imagine the problems that I will have when I have my own distillery, and I have way more responsibilities. I have people to pay salaries, and I have, like you're essentially growing, but there will be more challenges, and I feel like this journey kind of shaped me towards that. So yeah, it's I don't know if I answered the question correct, but yeah.
No, that's perfect. When it's all said and done, and you're 6 feet in the ground or cremated, whatever you prefer, what do you want the tequila industry to say about you?
Probably that I stood my ground, and that I kind of rebuilt something from nothing. Um, that it's and kind of shape my own destiny. I feel like one of the most important parts for Primo is that I have learned also to kind of see where other brands have grow, and how their lives changes in the for the better, or the worse. And I feel for me also with Primo is learning when to stop growing, and like probably just say like, okay, this is where like Primo, the brand, is going to remain, and it's not going to I don't want to overgrow it, because I want to be involved the most that I can, and be hands-on with that brand specifically. Like so learn like to put I mean to grow, but also learn to put my own ceiling, so I can enjoy my life, enjoy my family, keep riding motorcycles, keep going and camp, and like actually uh because when you do well in this industry, it becomes really rewarding. But I never see myself like buying a freaking jet. Like I just want to have my pickup, my motorcycle, like go camping, and I'm a really cheap guy essentially. So there's probably a moment where I can say like, you know what, like I feel like this is fine. I feel happy where I have grown Primo, and probably I will enjoy the rest of it. If I have kids and they want to grow it more, that will be their call for their journey and for their time. but I kind of feel like there will be a time that I will say like, okay, this is good enough for me and let's just enjoy.
Is that something that you would want for the future legacy, is for your kids to take over one day?
If they want, um, definitely. I feel like as long as I kind of teach them uh like good values, they whatever they decide, if they don't want to be involved with Primo, it's fine with me. I won't force them. I will probably just do like a trust and kind of protect Primo for the future, so they essentially so it cannot be sold or anything. I don't know. Like but yeah, I will at least be happy that with me knowing that I have left something that honors all the Pedro Camarenas behind me and probably the future Pedros or Petras, I don't know, like from the future. So let's see, like that's something that I won't force to them, but I can just take the decisions of my own, So let's see. Hopefully they want, but but yeah, it's as long as the brand is protected and they are protected, I'm happy with that.
Perfect. Well, Pedro, thank you for your time. Where can everyone find you on social media?
So it's Jepe, so it's GEPPE dot Camarena, like the last name Camarena. They can find me that's my personal one, and then also at Tequila Primo Tequila dot Primo in Instagram. Or if they want to go to the website is tequilaprimo.com. They can get like the hats there.
I love that hat. I love the black on black.
Yeah. This is probably one of my favorite hats that I have now.
Nice. Well, again, I thank you so much for your time. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Have a good night.
Thank you. Salud.